Hi, my name is Jonathan Hopp. This is 10 Minute Go, and I'd just like to make a little quick announcement. If you decide that you really enjoy my videos and would like to see more of them, consider joining me on Patreon. If you go to my Patreon link down below and decide to pledge, then I have lots of extra things, special videos that are for patrons only. For example, game reviews are for patrons only, and I may also start doing some extra lessons that are just for patrons on topics that my patrons choose. So if you have anything you'd like to ask me about a specific topic that you'd like to see a video on, just go ahead, sign to be one of my patrons, and I'll make one for you. Alright, now this is 10 Minute Go, so the clock starts now. Alright, today's lesson, we're going to talk about the one-space pincer. We're going to review some standard sequences that are around the one-space pincer. You should be playing lots of games. If you're a double-digit Q, you should be playing lots of games. My videos are to help, but really gaining experience is the best thing. So this is called the one-space low pincer because, well, it's low, because it's on the third line. I'll mark that for you. Uno, dos, tres. It's on the third line, and it's one space away from this white stone, so it's called a one-space low pincer. This is a pretty severe move. You would use the one-space low pincer when you really want to attack white. By putting a stone right here, what you're basically saying is, listen, white, I know you want to make a base or something over here and expand and create eye space. Instead, you're going to say, no, you don't get eye space. I'm going to squeeze you and you're going to have to do something. If white chooses to ignore, let's say white plays somewhere else for whatever reason, which is a thing, right? Now, in some cases, white playing elsewhere is a thing you can do. Black will cover. All right, this makes it so the white stone can't come out. All right, white can't really, like, there's no jump. Like this way, white could be able to jump and get out. That way, he's not covered. So the threat of this move is for black to cover white here, and then white has some horrible crawling stuff he might be able to do. But this is not so great for white. All right, so white has a lot of options when black pincers, if white wants to answer directly, which most of the time, the more severe the pincer is, the more likely you are to directly answer it. So pincers that are further away are a lot less, how shall we say, demanding of your time. So if I pincer here, or if I pincer here, you probably will answer a two-space pincer, but the further away I get, the less likely you are to care about it because your stone has more space, right? The further away the pincer is, the more severe the move is. So this is why this is a severe move and white will most likely answer, because the follow-up is pretty nasty for white. So what can we do? Well, the first thing we can do is jump out and get some air. So whenever our stones are being threatened, if our opponent threatens to seal us into a side, we can always just jump out into the center. If we don't want to jump out into the center, we could jump into the corner, and that way we're going to sacrifice this R14 stone in order to gain territory elsewhere. If, for example, the top side is interesting, or you don't like these two moves, then you could counter pincer, which is always fun. And we'll look at this. We're not going to get in, I'm still, we're on the lower level lessons, so I don't want to do anything too crazy just yet. But at the same time, we have some sequences you should know. And then, of course, if you don't like all of those, you can decide to attach here, which is fine. So all of these are possible. Let's take a look at some of them. First off, let's look at the 3-3 invasion, all right? If you decide that R14 just isn't the stone you care about and you would prefer territory, this is the move for you. Black has two choices. Black can block at A or B, and blocking at A or B will completely and totally depend on what other stones there are on the board. If black blocks at A to try to break the two stones apart, that's fine. White has to gain another liberty, and it's very important that black does not Hane here. The move is to extend. There is no other move here. Okay, just anything. I had a friend who had a hard time learning the standard sequence, and I made him do this over and over and over again so that he could get all the other moves out of his mind. If you play this, this is correct. If you play this, then what white will do is simply descend. Now, this is threatening for white to come under. If black does nothing, white will play under, and now there's nothing black can do to stop white, right? White will just kill the cutting stones. In which case, when white descends at S17, this is kind of punishing black. So black will play here, but then white will cut. So if black decides, hey, I don't really like this so much, I'm going to try to cover this other stone here, then white will kill the stone at the top, 2 liberties, right, to what white's 3. Black dies. That's not so good. Alright, well, what happens if I decide, hey, I'm going to save this stone? Then white will kill these 3 stones. If black tries to run away, white will simply wedge like this. This is the skillful move, right? This is the vital point for this shape. If black Atari, black is all dead. So, again, if this lesson, you should probably go over these sequences over yourself and try to just memorize them, because some of them are just so, they're used so much, you should just know them. So black's move is to extend here. White threatens to connect to his R14 stone. If black does nothing, white can connect, and that's really awful for black. Black didn't get any of the territory on the side, so black blocks. White must protect. Otherwise, if white does not protect, black will kill this stone. Protect, and now black must protect, because if he doesn't, white will cut here. As we saw earlier, these two black stones are dead. So this is all pretty much forced. There's nothing you can do. White must jump out here. If white does not jump out here, black will play here and turn. White will live, but then white will have absolutely no effect on the rest of the board. So that's really bad for white. So white will have to jump. Notice how in this standard sequence, every move is a little bit forced. It means essentially that if you don't do something, your opponent will punish you, and you don't want that. Alright, so try to understand that your moves have to have threats behind them. Now, this is the standard sequence, and we're pretty much done. When do you think you might use this? You might use this when this side, the right side, is more important to black than it is for the top. Alright, so black plays here, and black is okay with white coming into the corner because he gets a wall. And white's okay because he gets some territory. The other way to block was at B. Alright, this basically says, listen, you can connect your stones, and I don't care. White will play here because if he doesn't, mistake. Because if he doesn't, then black will play, like white plays elsewhere, black will turn, and this white stone is really damaged, and white's position is terrible. So we must connect. Black must play here. If black plays somewhere else, white will get this tiger's mouth, and then this is awful. White will push out, white's in the center, black stones are all cut from each other. We don't want that, so black must play here. For right now, there are other options, but the easiest one to remember is S14. Come down, and then black must connect all of his stones in a fancy double knights move, one from here and one from here. And this is the end of the standard sequence. When might you use this? If we look at a game, and we play the 3 linked stars opening formation, and white approaches like normal, then black can do a 1-space pincer. If white decides to come into the corner, then the perfect is perfect for black to play like this. This stone has this stone, and this stone has background. We don't care if white connects. White defends himself, and black plays here. Why on earth would you play something like this, you might be thinking? Well, if you play elsewhere, black will push, and then black has his choice of either one of these cuts. If black wants the corner, Atari, counter Atari, take here. But actually, in this case, it would be probably better to take the outside. That way black is nice and strong on the outside, and these white stones only make like, what, 4 or 5 points. So that's why white will pick a move like this. And again, we can just do a move like this. This move does exist, you'll see it, but in any case, this one's a little bit simpler. Black will defend, and now look that this black wall is working really well with these 2 high black stones to create a large territorial framework. If black had not picked this direction, let's say he decided to split the stones apart, and then we played the standard sequence out pretty much like normal, then we have a completely different situation. White has more points. Black's wall is facing the left side, but it's not facing his other stones. Even if he were to push, right, white just gains more territory, and black's wall is facing this way, it's facing towards the left. But this stone over here and this stone here makes you wonder why they're even there. In fact, in this case, white could even play something to where he reduces black's wall. It's facing the wrong direction, and we don't want that. So in this case, it would be best to block this way. When you block, you need to think about, if I build a wall this way, do I have help on the other side? If you don't block that way. So these are some cases where you might want to use the 1-space pincer. And then if white comes into the 3-3 point, now you should pretty much be able to handle this, whatever white does. We'll talk about in the next video what happens if white jumps out and when white does the counter pincer. But for right now, you should definitely learn this standard sequence by heart, because you're going to play it a lot, you're going to see it a lot, you're going to just do it a lot. And yes, the next move could possibly be A, but again, this is a lecture that's aimed for beginner level players, so I don't want to get too complicated. Well, time's almost up. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you next time.